How's it going, everybody? My name is Faze Crypto. Welcome to another episode of Crypto Clout, the YouTube show where we give you a fast analysis. We're not going to waste your time on this show. We're actually going to get right down to the point, talk about some realistic, interesting things that are happening in the cryptocurrency space. So let's start off right away with, do you think that the slaughter is over? Do you think that the purge has finished for now, at least? Well, finally, we're seeing some green across the board once again. The question is, can it continue? Can it continue for any conceivable amount of time? Well, I think personally it's interesting to look at technologies like Cardano and news articles such as Cardano tries to give a pushback in the market crash, multiple developmental and all these various different adjectives, adverbs, and all what have you. Anyways, in other news, I basically put out this poll around 7 hours ago. Will Bitcoin or XRP be crypto number one in a year? And basically XRP is in the lead with 59%, and I ran this same poll on my YouTube voting mechanism, and basically 1 hour into it we had 100 votes and it was about 50-50, but with XRP in the lead. So if you're interested in either of those polls, then you can basically cast your vote and have your opinion be heard. But I think that these votes are a good thing. They're an interesting indication of where things are going to be headed in the future. And we've been seeing XRP, well, it dramatically outperformed Ethereum and took that number 2 position. Now, of course, we had been seeing XRP and Ethereum exchanging that number 2 position for quite some time, but the question remains, will XRP outperform Bitcoin? Now, this is definitely an interesting thing to pay attention to as these things move forward. In other news, well, congratulations to everybody who decided to pick up some Cardano or any of these different technologies that are doing fairly decent. Another example of the fact that people are always making money in the cryptocurrency world. The fact of the matter is that times of tragic loss are often followed by rapid gain for plenty of people who've got their mind together when it comes to analyzing the technology and making accurate predictions. And I guess that it goes to show you that investing your time and energy in learning about the actual components and basically things that are taking off regarding these technologies, things that are happening behind the scenes, well, that type of thinking can turn you into a millionaire, ladies and gentlemen. So without any further ado, the top performing, there's always some random weird crypto that's the top performer it seems. Right now, it's this one right here, this Labs token. We've talked about this one before on here, and then Ardor, of course. Some people adore Ardor, other people have not so much, and then Golem coming up right there, which is actually pretty interesting, and basic attention, of course, and NXT status, and it's always an interesting indication to see the various different cryptocurrencies that outperform the competition. But today, where realistically, I think it's interesting to talk about the composition of cryptocurrency development and how we essentially saw, well, Bitcoin was quintessentially the digital gold and remains as such. It has still maintained its reputation. Now, another question is, what will the value of Bitcoin be in a couple weeks? Will Bitcoin remain at this $4,600 mark? What's the future? And a lot of people have argued along the lines of talking about the age of the altcoin, and the fact of the matter is that the technology that got Bitcoin where it is isn't enough to maintain it in its position. The fact of the matter is that XRP is a cheaper alternative, and people take into consideration all these different variables such as fees, and of course the growing conversation that needs to be had, which is involving regulations. And of course, when it comes to bringing up regulations, it's important to remember the fundamental fact that this volatility that we see, these tragic losses marked by epic gains, which some people are strategic enough to take advantage of and others are too busy crying and selling off, and which is another reason why we always say that you only lose when you sell. That's no joke. That's actually something that a lot of people live and die by. But when you want to look at the fact that crypto is the fact of the matter is that its international variables are going into all these things. So when we see dramatic potential for Bitcoin to be manipulated, these are going to be red flags, and this is also going to lead to a lot of different. The fact of the matter is that when the entire market can be influenced by bad actors and all these different things, it's something to be said. I mean, it's just interesting as far as the issue of concern when you talk about smart contracts and the evolution of what the actual community who's using these things right now has to criticize as far as the different technologies and how they've come to be what they are. But I think in that same idea, we can definitely transition pretty perfectly into some of the things that Cardano has going for it. Now, we're talking about the fact of the matter is that Cardano is really one of these technologies that is a team that's working with it, that congratulations. Cardano, I think, is got one of the best philosophies that's going to drive cryptocurrency forward. Now, when we want to talk about the traditional Satoshi philosophy and all these different things, I think that it's important to be said that cryptocurrencies like Cardano could be an interesting indication of what we see as far as the future and all these different things. So I'm certainly interested in seeing the different developments that Cardano is going to be bringing to the table. In particular, when we look at the different variables that are coming together. So when people ask me what cryptocurrencies I'm interested in looking forward to, I think Cardano is definitely one of the ones that I'm anticipating seeing bringing forth to the table a lot of things that are going to be very innovative when we talk about blockchain, when we're talking about all these different variables coming together by 2020. I think that it's a lot to be said that Cardano stands to gain a lot respectively when you talk about the Internet of Things and all these different variables. So we're not there yet. I mean, when you talk about the fact that we're so early in the game, it's difficult to get an idea of what the market's actually going to be looking like when these things finally come together, when we're witnessing these institutional bodies adapting to the technologies that are available. And I think that day is right around the corner, and I think that Cardano strategically has themselves in a place that stands to gain pretty substantially when we talk about that sort of playing field. So when we see these sort of articles that are talking about the different developments that Cardano is making, even in the face of the current market, I think that it stands to present a definite representation of optimism that you could pretty much take. I'm not going to say take to the bank, because of course, remember, I'm not your dad. Remember, this video is for entertainment, educational, yada yada, standard YouTuber disclaimer. But in the same interest of sharing different opinions and so forth, I'm actually going to be including a link to this video right here, because this guy actually is one of my favorite YouTubers right now, because they've been breaking down their analysis to these really short 3-minute videos or 2-minute videos, and it's pretty much compresses all the information into a short amount of time that allows me to watch their video, learn something, and then move on with my day. And my time's really important to me, and I'm sure it's important to you, so this content's definitely important. So I'll be including a link to that down in the description. But all that being said, I mean, my prediction for Cardano is definitely, definitely in the face of the current, predicament that's facing Bitcoin. I think that challenge represents a huge opportunity for the entire altcoin community, and I think that Cardano stands to really, because when you look at the future of these technologies, the fact of the matter is that there is room for multiple different technologies. It doesn't have to be dominated by one Bitcoin and then just a vast multitude of various different altcoins. I think that there could be thousands of altcoins, and I think that that's the logical conclusion. Decentralization means that this means of basically distributing these different variations of potential that can be leveraged in a vast variety of ways, and I think Cardano represents a foundation that's providing really the building blocks that's going to be reshaping the future. So now, all that being said, I hope you guys have enjoyed this content. Definitely make sure that you participate in the next vote that we have, just to basically get an idea of what the community thinks of all these different things. And yeah, I mean, I think that we are slowly but surely entering the age of XRP, and I think that it's also pretty hilarious to see how people respond to things like talk of $7 XRP, but I don't think that it's without I think that it's well within the prospects of understanding when you think about the long-term potential of all these things. And of course, I defend everybody's right to have their own opinion, to make predictions about these certain things. Now, I think that's what's great about this community. Everybody can say what they think, and then we could basically just take the information for its face value and then move on with our days, and everybody can say what they have to say, and we could basically determine the value of the information based on its merit, which I think is a cornerstone of how we're going to move forward as a civilization. But enough of that. I hope you guys have enjoyed this content, and I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.